Master has been terrorising the Doctor for 53 years now, but which Doctor has fought them the most? Today we're going to look back at every Master encounter to determine the answer. But first, a few ground rules. Firstly, for the purposes of this video, we're only counting TV stories, so no Big Finish, no novels, no comics, etc. And montages only count if they contain new clips, so no reused footage. Secondly, not every story to feature the Master can be thought of as a Master story. For example, I don't think anyone would thank me if I gave The End of Time and Deep Breath equal footing. We will therefore be separating Master appearances into two categories. Full-on Master stories, that is, any story where the Master is the main antagonist, or one of the main antagonists, and Master cameos, which is any story where the Master appears but is not the main focus. We'll begin by determining which Doctor has the most Master stories, i.e. by just counting those in the first category, then expand our remit to the cameos to determine which Doctor has the most stories in which the Master appears. Stories which are split across multiple episodes will be treated as one story. For example, The Sound of Drums / Last of the Time Lords counts as one Master story, not two. However, we also need to take the vastly differing runtimes of stories into consideration. Dark Water / Death in Heaven, for instance, amounts to 100 minutes, twice the length of The King's Demons. To this end, we'll conduct a further count which ranks each era's Master stories according to their accumulated runtimes. This method isn't perfect, as some Master stories feature the Master more heavily than others, but in most cases these discrepancies aren't enough to affect the overall ranking. So without further ado, let's do some number crunching. The first and second Doctors had no Master stories, as the character was only introduced in 1971. So let's skip straight to the third Doctor, who had 8 Master stories. Terror of the Autons, The Mind of Evil, The Claws of Axos, Colony in Space, The Demons, The Sea Devils, The Time Monster, and Frontier in Space. This amounts to 1,075 minutes of runtime. The fourth Doctor had 3 Master stories: The Deadly Assassin, The Keeper of Traken, and Logopolis. This amounts to 300 minutes of runtime. The fifth Doctor had 5 Master stories: Castrovalva, Time Flight, The King's Demons, The Five Doctors, and Planet of Fire. This amounts to 440 minutes of runtime. The sixth Doctor had 2 Master stories: The Mark of the Rani and The Ultimate Foe. This amounts to 145 minutes of runtime. The seventh Doctor had 1 Master story: Survival. This amounts to 75 minutes of runtime. The 8th Doctor had 1 Master story: The TV Movie. This amounts to 85 minutes of runtime. The 9th Doctor had no Master stories, so let's skip straight to the 10th Doctor, who had 3 Master stories: Utopia, The Sound of Drums / Last of the Time Lords, and The End of Time. This amounts to 275 minutes of runtime. The 11th Doctor had no Master stories, so let's skip straight to the 12th Doctor, who had 3 Master stories: Dark Water / Death in Heaven, The Magician's Apprentice / The Witcher's Familiar, and World Enough in Time / The Doctor Falls. This amounts to 300 minutes of runtime. And finally, the 13th Doctor had 3 Master stories: Spyfall, Ascension of the Cybermen / The Timeless Children, and The Power of the Doctor. This amounts to 325 minutes of runtime. So to recap, which Doctor had the most Master stories? In 5th place we have the 7th and 8th Doctors with 1 story each. In 4th place we have the 6th Doctor with 2 stories. In 3rd place we have the 4th, 10th, 12th and 13th Doctors with 3 stories each. In 2nd place we have the 5th Doctor with 5 stories, which means that in first place we have the Third Doctor with 8 stories. We'll come back to the runtime ranking in just a moment, but first, onto Master cameos. The Master has cameoed in far fewer stories than the Daleks and Cybermen. In fact, their cameo appearances are split between just 3 Doctors. The Master cameoed in 1 Fifth Doctor story. In The Caves of Androzani, the Fifth Doctor sees a vision of the Master as he regenerates, willing him to die. This brings the total number of Master appearances in the Fifth Doctor's era to 6. The Master cameoed in a whopping 9 Twelfth Doctor stories. In Deep Breath, Into the Dalek, The Caretaker, Flatline, and In the Forest of the Night, we see Missy welcome various deceased characters to the afterlife, and view events from afar on her tablet. And in Extremis, The Lie of the Land, Empress of Mars, and The Eaters of Light, Missy begins to show remorse for her past actions, and is even allowed into the TARDIS. This brings the total number of Master appearances in the 12th Doctor's era, rather fittingly, to 12. And yes, we might as well throw this one in too. The Master cameoed in 1 14th Doctor story. Sort of. In The Giggle, we learn that the Master is imprisoned in the Toymaker's gold tooth, which is picked up by an unknown individual at the end of the story. This brings the total number of Master appearances in the 14th Doctor's era to 1. So which Doctor's era has the most Master appearances, i.e. the most stories in which the Master appears? In 6th place, the 7th and 8th Doctors are now joined by the 14th, with 1 story each. In 5th place, we have the 6th Doctor, with 2 stories. In 4th place, we have the 4th, 10th and 13th Doctors, with 3 stories. In 3rd place, we have the 5th Doctor, now with 6 stories. In 2nd place, we have the 3rd Doctor, with 8 stories. Which means that in 1st place, we now have the 12th Doctor, with a whopping 12 stories. And finally, which Doctor's era has the most Master appearances in terms of runtime? In 9th place, we have the 7th Doctor, with 75 minutes. In 8th place, we have the 8th Doctor, with 85 minutes. In 7th place, we have the 6th Doctor, with 145 minutes. In 6th place, we have the 10th Doctor, with 275 minutes. In 5th place, we have the 4th Doctor, with 300 minutes. In 4th place, we have the 12th Doctor, with 300 minutes and 9 cameos. In 3rd place, we have the 13th Doctor, with 325 minutes. In 2nd place, we have the 5th Doctor, with 440 minutes, plus 1 cameo, which means that in 1st place, we once again have the 3rd Doctor, with 1075 minutes. And just for fun, the accumulated runtime of every Master story to date is 3020 minutes. The total number of Master stories so far is 29, the total number of Master cameos is 11, and the total number of Master appearances is 40. The incarnation of the Master that has appeared the most is Michelle Gomez, with 12 stories. She's followed by Anthony Ainley with 10 stories, Roger Delgado with 8 stories, John Sim with 4 stories, Sacha Dhawan with 3 stories, and Peter Pratt, Jeffrey Beavers, Eric Roberts, Derek Jacobi, and The Gold Tooth with 1 story each. So there we have it. The Third Doctor does, of course, have the most Master stories and runtime, with the Fifth Doctor in a comfortable 2nd place. But if we add cameos into the mix, the 12th Doctor trumps both, due to the sheer number of times Missy showed up across Series 8 and 10. What do you think about these results? Which surprised you the most? Which Doctor do you think should have had more, or indeed less, Master stories? And more generally, which are your favourite Master stories and cameos? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you're new for more stuff like this in the future. You can also help these videos come about sooner by supporting me on Patreon via the link in the video description. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.